Welcome to the debut of the Midnight Who Show, and today I'm going to start with a review of a Chris Chibnall episode from Series 7, The Power of Three. Of course, this featured Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor and his companions Amy and Rory. This is a very unique Doctor Who episode, I will say. Of course, it is a kind of a Doctor Who Earth invasion story with a little bit of a twist. The Earth is being invaded by cubes. Yes, cubes. I found it a very kind of interesting idea when I first watched this episode, and I still laugh at it. But what I can say about it, though, is the whole kind of threat with the cubes, they're just kind of non-threatening. They're landing there, nothing really wrong with them. So of course when the Doctor kind of arrives, he's kind of wanting to watch them to make sure what's going on with them, because he's not really sure what's going on with these cubes throughout most of the episode. And what's interesting though about it, was when they do finally start acting a little bit differently. I like how with Amy, Rory, and the Doctor, they each acted a little bit differently, like what each happened with them. And I loved how Matt Smith's Doctor was, this happened, I got attacked by it. He was so excited about it. I really enjoyed that. Of course, one thing cool about this episode, of course, it does feature Rory's father again, which of course debuted in the Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and I really like him in this episode. He's a great addition to the this Doctor Who episode, because the Doctor says, watch those cubes, and he does. He just relentlessly watches the cubes. He has all the recordings to make sure he doesn't miss anything, and it's just great. I think Rory's father was a great addition to Doctor Who, and probably just because he was it was a great compliment to Rory, I think. Now, of course, with this episode, I thought it was kind of interesting how this was the invasion that was slow, so the Doctor didn't know what was going to happen, and also, well, the Doctor kind of stayed on Earth a lot in this one. Of course, he stayed on Earth before, but there's sometimes usually a threat or something's going on. This time, cubes. Cubes are just there, and he doesn't know what's going on. And it's really kind of fun how you can see the Doctor is getting bored. He's getting bored of just doing nothing. And I love that sequence, he just does all this stuff, and he's only gone for, not even that much time. It's like, oh, great. It's funny, of course. Now, of course, this episode also had Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, which was a great introduction. She was a great part of this episode. And I thought this was definitely a great addition to the cast. And it also introduced Unit again, which by this point, if I remember, they weren't really featured in Doctor Who that much at the time. So that was great that they had Unit back. Now, the whole alien invasion part of the story, I don't like. I like the cubes, they were very unique, but I didn't like the whole kind of who the big bad was of the episode once it got revealed, and I just didn't like that part. So basically you get some parts of this episode I liked, and some parts by the kind of end point, I was like, they're rushing this, it felt like. It kind of did feel a little bit rushed in the end. Of course, though, what I can mention, though, is I kind of thought it brought up a very kind of interesting idea of how, like Amy said, there's Doctor life and then regular life. And you kind of see them how they're getting on with their lives. They're becoming, more normal citizens, not traveling in time to various places. And this really does bring up how time travel and time traveling with the Doctor can really start affecting them. How they're getting older, but the Doctor really isn't. You can just pop in and out. And it definitely leads into, do they choose normal life or do they choose Doctor life? It's definitely a big question for them. And I do think the episode does a very good job kind of playing at this idea. And I don't know. What would you choose if you were an Amy and Rory shoe? Would you choose Doctor life or normal, everyday work and other stuff life? But yeah, overall, Power of Three was a pretty decent episode. I didn't really think it was the worst Doctor Who episode of all time, nor was it probably the best Doctor Who episode. But what I can say is it had a very unique premise. The Earth gets invaded by cubes, and we get to see how there's the dilemma between Amy and Rory, between the Doctor life, and of course they're trying to be their normal selves. They have to plan stuff in the future, and Rory's getting work advances, and they have all this stuff. But the Doctor shows up and whisks them away. So they really have to think about that. And I think that the episode did that very well. So yeah, that is The Power of Three. A pretty good episode. Tell me your guys' thoughts on this episode in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And of course, if you like this video, you can click the button that kind of looks that, and subscribe and hit that notification bell to see all of our videos every Monday and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Bye, everyone.